So first, why don't we just arrive together? Let's take 20 seconds or so just to settle in, have our minds and our bodies try to arrive at the same place right here in our chairs. Take a couple of deep cleansing breaths and settle in. So good morning, everybody on this snowy morning in parts of the country. I'm thrilled to be here. And I'd like to dedicate this morning's practice to the memory of my parents, who did their very best at providing me and my sister all the love and the wisdom of their Torahs that they had to impart to us. I'd also like to give my thanks to so many of my IJS teachers over the years, who have helped me learn how to become more aware and to awaken in order to try to be a better human being in the world. And I'd like to also start by expressing my gratitude. Modeh ani lefanechem. I am grateful to each of you who are with us this morning to support our individual and respective and collective practices together. So this morning, I'd like to have us think about two different ideas that have come to my mind that we can contemplate today. I describe them as the Torah of our lives, the Torah we need now, each of us in our own way, the Torah we need to learn or to relearn and to embody in our lives going forward. And the other idea is self-compassion. For me, these two ideas, the Torah that I need now and self-compassion, coalesce. So what's the context in which these two ideas sort of came to me? And why am I sitting here today with you? Well, the first is personal. Well, they're both personal. January 20th was Inauguration Day. Pretty happy day for me and for, I guess, many of us on this sit. It also happened to be my 65th birthday. You know, I had to look it up on Google and do the calculation. That means if you make it to 65, you've lived 23,725 days. Wow. It's also the fifth 13-year chapter of my life. So this week is my bar mitzvah parsha. 5 times 13, 13 bar mitzvahs in my life. That's a long time. So what's the parsha this week? It's Yitro. It's about Moses' father-in-law, and it's also the weekly portion in which we've now left Egypt. We've had the Exodus. We've crossed the Red Sea. We're now in the wilderness at the foot of Mount Sinai to receive the Torah, to receive revelation. And so this year, as I looked at the parsha, well, I guess it's true of every great book you read. You know, you can read a great novel as an adult that you read as a kid, and it opens up anew because we're new people now. Same thing, of course, with the Torah, year in and year out. And so what jumped out at me as I looked at the parsha this week? In Exodus 19:16, it says, there was thunder and lightning and a dense cloud, not just a cloud, a dense cloud, and very loud shofar blasts. Not loud, very loud. And all the people in the camp trembled. Very cinematic, very Cecil B. DeMille. but I think very true. What's true for me, and maybe it is for you too, is when truth is revealed to me, whether it's a new truth or the same old one that I tend to forget, whether it's about the world or whether it's about myself, that truth, when it's revealed, can be really startling, unsettling. There can be a shock of recognition. I can tremble, sort of a fight or flight, sometimes a feeling of a need to escape the truth, sometimes to go into the cloud, to numb, so as to not deal with the intensity of that truth. And that truth can be something triggered by something small, like I might see a photograph of myself or a selfie that my kids took. And I'll look at it and I'll say, wow, I guess I am actually starting to lose my hair. Or more seriously, someone I love, a friend, my wife, my kids, might look at me with a pained expression and let me know that something I said or did or didn't say or didn't do hurt them. And that truth can lead to shame and feeling unsettled with the thunder and lightning going off inside, which is really why we do this practice, to be with strong feelings, joy and pleasure, as well as those more difficult and troubling and unpleasant feelings. So that leads me to one other event that happened for me recently, not just my 65th birthday, but a couple of months ago. I was out for a hike here in Boulder, where we now live, and I had my pods in, and rather than listen to music that morning, I happened to be listening to a podcast, 10% Happier, which many of you may be familiar with. And the host was interviewing a woman, a brilliant academic by the name of Kristen Neff, who teaches at the University of Texas in Austin. And she was talking about her area of expertise, which is self-compassion. And she talked about three fundamental ways we can become more self-compassionate: through mindfulness, through practicing kindness, and recognizing one's common humanity. I'll come back to these in a minute, but when I heard this, I just thought, that really sounds Jewish. And I felt like I need to learn more about this self-compassion stuff, because I wrestle with it for myself, which actually is kind of ironic, because wrestling with self-compassion probably is not a winning strategy. So mindfulness, that's what we're trying to do in our sits together, being more aware moment to moment in a clear and balanced way, leaning into spaciousness and recognizing if you're feeling or saying to yourself, I'm an angry person, maybe you can recognize, well, no, just sometimes I get angry. That's what angry feels like. I'm not an angry person. I'm a person with a million parts. And sometimes anger passes through. Secondly, kindness. Many of us, I'll speak for myself, often have a soundtrack in life, a soundtrack with a kind of a harsh tone, a harsh self-judgment. I'm not enough. To see the truth also requires that you bring yourself kindness in a soft, loving voice, to recognize that you're worthy to receive compassion from the compassionate source, Ahava Rabbah, great love. It's no wonder that the first prayer that the Talmudists said we're supposed to say in the morning is Eloheinu Shama, Shenatata bi Tahorahi. My God, the soul you've given me is pure. So when you wake up, you may be thinking about how you messed up yesterday, but no, the soul you've been given is pure. And as long as you have it, the source will continue to breathe your soul, your breath, your life into you through intimate breathing from the source of compassion into oneself. And then finally, common humanity. We each have our unique stories, but all of us are interconnected. All of us suffer. All of us have joys and sorrows. All of us fall short. We're all fallible, which is why the Talmud says there were 7 things created even before the world was created. One was Torah, and one was teshuvah, or repentance. That God created the concept of repentance even before humankind was created, because God recognized we were fallible, all of us, each of us, that we're in it together. We are not in it alone. So for the next minutes that we have together, I'd like to do a guided meditation for some minutes, and then we'll go into silence. And what I invite us to do is a life scan, not a body scan, although stay in touch with your body. But let's go back into each of our lives and look at our 13-year chapters. Don't force anything, see what comes. And let me suggest this as a kavanah, as an intention. When we take the Torah out, we sing Eitz Chaim Hi Lamachazikim Ba. It is a tree of life, the Torah is, for those who hold fast to it. V'tomcheha me'ushar, and for those who come near, will be happy. Me'ushar from Ashrei, same word. So for this sit, let us go into the tree of life of our lives, the Torah of our lives. Hold on to it loosely, come near to it, and see what arises. Come with softness and openness of heart. Give yourself a hug if you wish. Place your hand on your heart. Bring love and mercy to yourself. So we'll start with a chime and end with a chime. Breathe in the love and compassion and see what comes to your mind's eye when I ask, what was your very first memory? Can you bring it to mind? Mine was being in a baby carriage, being pushed by my mother on a sunny day with the trees above me. Now, I don't know whether that really happened. But just like the Torah, just like the crossing of the Red Sea, it doesn't matter if it really happened. It's true. Can you remember going to kindergarten, sitting at the dinner table, your first day at grade school? your teachers, your parents, your siblings. What comes to mind? How does it feel in your body as that memory comes to you? What Torah did you learn in your first 13 years? Coming into puberty, body changing. And then let's go to the next chapter, 13 to 26, your adolescence, jumbles of feelings, confusion, changing identity. High school, leaving home for college. Every one of our experiences is different, but what speaks to you? Perhaps your first intimate relationship, your first job, your first move. Breathe into any tender spots that arise from these memories and feelings. Soften into them. Come near to the Torah of your life. Next chapter, if you're there or were there, not everyone with us today is into the 26 to 39. What arises in your life, in your mind's eye? Career, perhaps marriage, perhaps divorce, perhaps your first child or children. What was the Torah of your life then? What did you learn then? Who were your teachers? And then let's move to 39 to 52. What memories and feelings come to the surface? Kids growing, job changing, health issues for you or for loved ones, perhaps even the passing of loved ones. You're not alone. You are bearing witness as your grown-up self to this passing chapter in your life, which helped make you who you are today. '52 to '65. Where were you then? Career demands, kids growing up, perhaps thinking about retiring, thinking about aging, your body perhaps not working as well as it used to. How does that feel? Can you bring love and compassion to you in that chapter? And then 65 to 78. For some of us, for me, it is the cusp of that beginning of that new chapter. One thing I'm certain of is uncertainty. If the pandemic has taught us anything, it's to recognize what we don't control. Will I be here to live, to see my children marry, to see and to hold grandchildren? Will I be blessed with that or not? Will I be retired? Will I have more time to do and explore and learn and teach? Health, aging, opportunity, openness, any and all of the above. And then 78 to 91, who among us today together is so fortunate to be in that 13-year chapter of life? How much wisdom you've gained, how much wisdom you still have to share. Let's now go into silence and let it all in with love and compassion. May each of us continue to receive the abundant love and compassion from the all-compassionate source. May each of us receive and take in and be nourished by that compassion. And may each of us share it with all of humankind and all of creation. Thank you for your practice.
Thank you, Monty. We are now going to conclude, as we do most days, with recitation of Kaddish. And if you are saying Kaddish for someone, want to share their name in the chat, please do so and have them in mind. We found this is a very important part for many, many people. And then for those who would like to stay on, we always stay on for a few more minutes afterwards. If you have questions or comments you'd like to share with Monty, we'll stay on the line for another 10 minutes or so afterwards. So if you'd like to join me. Yitgadal v'yitgadash shemei Rabbah.
Amen.
Viamati vraki v'tevi amlech machutei v'chaychon v'yamechon Israel Agalav Zman Karid Imru Amen Shmei Rabba Barach Me'amaya Barach Yitbarach Bar V'Traman V'Yitraseh Tadar V'Taleh V'Talav Shmei D'Kudsha Elam V'Kol Birchata Shirata Tushbachata Tushbachata Amen. Yeshlama Rabba Mishmaya. Yeshlama Rabba Mishmaya. Chayim Aleinu Kol Yisrael. Shalom. 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 Aleinu v'Kol Yisrael. Kol
Amen.
Thank you. Just another reminder about the upcoming prayer project. Registration closes on the 4th of February, so on Thursday, and then the course starts on Sunday. So again, that's exploring the Amidah through an embodied practice with Rabbi Miriam Klotz. I also want to mention that you should have gotten notice that I'll be in conversation with Rabbi Amichai Levi. Can you just, yeah, we'll
Hi,
mute
honey. I'm on retreat.
Let's mute everybody.
After like 4:30.
Thank you. We also have an event coming up, a free open public event next Thursday evening on the 11th. Me in conversation with Rabbi Amichai Levi of Lab Shul in New York on Purim. Almost there at Purim, and so really want to invite you. So far, we got over 500 people who are signed up to join us, and you are welcome. We have wonderful thing about Zoom. We have infinite space, more or less. So thank you again. And for those who'd like to stay on to share questions or comments with Monty via the chat, please do. And for everybody else, we will look forward to seeing you again, hopefully tomorrow, same time, same channel. Okay. And so if you'd like to just share, we're happy to take questions via the chat. That's probably the best way to do it. Monty, there was a question to repeat about 10, I think you were talking about 10% happier. Is that right?
Correct. 10% happier with Dan Harris as the host.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they also have a terrific app that's a meditation app as well with Dan Harris. That's terrific. Okay, so there's a question. The third thing, actually, there's 7 things, right? I think, Monty, you were mentioning the Mishnah from Pirkei Avot. There were 7 things created, in Friday afternoon, just before the first Shabbos. I had to go look them up. But you mentioned, sorry, no, you're not talking about that. We were talking about before creation, that were created even before creation, the Torah and Tshuva, and then there. I don't remember the others that were off the.
This is a pop quiz, and I'm not going to get it right, Josh. But I think the Garden of Eden. I think Gehenna, the name of the Messiah, the Mashiach.
That's right.
and two other things that don't come to mind right now.
Yeah, we'll find that. I'm sure if you Google it, we'll try. We'll get the research department on that. I don't, off the top of my head, remember what the other two were, but yes, that's great. There was another. Someone shared, and a couple of people shared, that doing the life scan, is not an entirely pleasant experience necessarily, and so someone shared that I found myself weeping in sadness. I'm not sure exactly what I'm sad about. And as I sit here now, I'm not sure what to do with it. And so Monty, I wonder if you want to respond to that. It seems like an important one.
I think this is the perfect opportunity to really, really bring that self-compassion to oneself. In living our lives, we each have our unique experiences, memories, pains, disappointments, sorrows, and pleasures and successes. And going back and looking at them can be difficult. But here we are today, safe, hopefully healthy, with the ability to bring compassion to whatever arises. And certainly I didn't intend this sit acknowledging that it can bring up difficult feelings, like any sit, frankly, even one that's less directed or guided, is to be with whatever comes, to believe that actually God is our partner in navigating these difficult memories and feelings, and to know that we're there for one another, with one another, to get through it. But this isn't therapy. And that's the work of therapy, separately, independently. Josh, I don't know if you wanted to add something to that, to my response.
Yeah, I think, number one, definitely disclaimer, not therapy. Number two, however, is, in some ways I would say good, like that it shouldn't only be the happy stuff. This is well documented. We're scientifically, hardwired, psychologically hardwired to just remember the good things. It's why you generally remember the good parts of a vacation, but all the stuff when you're in it and you're like, that can be difficult. When we look back, even a short time later, especially a longer time later, we repress that negative stuff. And I was just talking about this with Jonathan Slater the other day, we were talking in the context of racial justice work that we're doing internally with our faculty right now. And that part of the human condition seems to be not paying attention to the stuff that's hard. And so I think, and as difficult as that may be, Monty, as you're saying, there's an opportunity through practice to try to somehow engage that with compassion, and which is not to sugarcoat anything, and it's not to give excuses or blank checks for difficult things that may have happened, but to approach, especially with ourselves, to approach with a sense of self-compassion. We're going to have to live with that, with the things that were hard anyway, right? Better that we can try to approach them with compassion, but that's really hard work. It's much easier said than done. So,
well, and Josh, one other thing I would quickly add, and that is, I used to have a misunderstanding before I got into Jewish mindfulness work through IJS. And that is that if you do enough therapy and enough analysis and thought, that you can overcome what I used to call pesky feelings, those hard ones. And what I've come to realize and understand is you don't overcome them. The more you push them away, the more they come back towards you. Part of your life, and by feeling them, you're alive. You know you're alive. And if you can even bring gratitude to those difficult feelings, because we're still in the game. Easier said than done, but something to think about.
There was a comment here, or a question, which I thought is a lovely question. If the Torah was created before creation, was it blank or was there writing on it? And and on one level, I think that it's sort of asking a mechanical question, but I think on a deeper level, it's actually asking something quite profound. I wonder what comes to mind for you with that, Monty.
I always love the stuff that's in between the lines and in the margins, sort of just like music. It's the pause in between that has such power. So the answer is, I don't know the answer. I'm not sure any of us know the answer. But sometimes I think it's a good idea to come up with an answer that gives oneself more comfort, more connection, more love. Whatever that answer is, that helps you connect to yourself, to others, to the source. Because nobody's going to prove you wrong on any of this stuff. But Josh, I'd be interested in whether you think it was heavily texted or not.
Interesting. I know, I'm sure a number of people on the sit today subscribe to our text study program, and I wrote, and I'm writing, I'm writing that this year. And one of the pieces that I brought last week for Beshalach was one of my favorite philosophers named Vladimir Jankelevich, and who writes about music. And this beautiful question that he has in a book called Music and the Ineffable, which already, like the name of the book already suggests, right? But he asks this question essentially, do we imagine the universe is fundamentally a noisy place that is punctuated by sort of islands of silence, or is it a silent place that is punctuated by moments of noise? And in a certain respect, it's like immaterial, like it's a nice, interesting thought, it's a thought game. But it does say something about our orientation, right? And I think we experience it at different points and different moments in our lives, or even in our day, like, boy, this is a really noisy place, and I just see some silence, or boy, it's really, really quiet, and I need to tune into the noises here. And I think it's a similar thing with the blank spaces and the written spaces. Sometimes we see the letters, and sometimes we see the white space, and sometimes we and sometimes we see what's in between. Jacqueline asked the question, the name, I'll type it in, since Vladimir Jankelevich. He's actually French, despite his name. His parents were Russian expatriates, but he was a French moral philosopher who taught at the Sorbonne in the 20th century. We got time for maybe one more question here, or comment. Let's see. Well, Monty, here's one. This is from Deborah Sachs-Barsky. What's a good meditation book to get? Do you? I mean, you've read your share, I imagine. Where you? And you're turning to Lori. I take it.
No. I'm looking at my shelf.
Okay.
Which almost every title has mindful in the in the title. Wow. I would say Jonathan Slater's Jewish Mindfulness book is like, what, I don't remember the title, but it's Jonathan's Jewish Mindfulness Meditation book, which I think is, to me, a bedrock. Any of Jeff Roth's books.
Mindful Jewish Living is the name of Jonathan's book. Sandra is holding up for us, and you can get on the IJS website. Yes, Mindful Jewish Living. There's also, I mean, this is not not one of ours, but one that's Mindfulness: An 8-Week Plan for Finding Peace in the Frantic World by Mark Williams and Danny Penman, which we found to be a really good sort of primer.
And one thing I should put up, or I should have mentioned it, but this is the Mindful Self-Compassion Workbook by Kristen Neff. And she has several, NEFF, there's several bestsellers that she's written that are, secular, but to my mind, quite spiritual and very practical.
Let me also just add, by way of closing, we also have open right now is registration for our intro to Jewish mindfulness meditation course online, the Gift of Awareness. And so you should feel welcome to check that out as well. That's going to get going in a couple of weeks, but registration is open, and Rabbi Lisa Goldstein, who's mentioned before, is going to be leading a weekly practice group for that. So if you haven't experienced that, or even if you have, and you just want, a shot in the arm, as it were, God willing, we're all getting real shots in the arm, but this will be a spiritual shot in the arm. You should, I want to encourage you to sign up for that. So terrific. Thank you again, Monty. So glad that you could be with us today, and thank you for sponsoring today's set. And we will look forward to seeing everybody again tomorrow or sometime soon. All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a great day, everybody.